Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope that you all had a wonderful, wonderful weekend and a great 4th of July. Welcome to the masterclass, first Monday of the month. Today is going to be different, and I'm wanting to make sure you understand we're not going to do any tools. We're not going to do any AI related other than governance. And I'm going to talk to you about some detailed governance issues. As licensed professionals, none of us should be using AI without having a policy and having rules in effect. So we're going to go through that whole process. And whether you are a small office practitioner or a large insurance company, it doesn't make a difference. Governance is a process that needs to be established before you do anything with AI. So as some of you may know, I have dedicated the last couple of years to trying to figure out how to do more for the industry and bring about change that is transformational. And what I've started to do is do as much homework and talk to as many people. If you don't know about me, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide. These are my credentials. Please check me out on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to talk to you about any of this and participate in any questions you may have. Before we get on for the day, as always, I want to thank our partners and our sponsors. Without them, the work I'm doing wouldn't be possible. If I didn't have people in the room who understood that AI can't just be willy-nilly used and that there's a process, we'd have problems. And so these are the people who are behind me and supporting AI and HI, and I thank every one of them. And we'll be talking about different sponsors throughout, but just wanted to make sure that we address our sponsors right away. As always, we have giveaways, and there's different ways of getting involved. You're going to all get a copy of the slides when you request it. So this information will be available to you there. But there is, as always, again, a chance to win a free ScanSnap IX1400. And I thank ScanSnap for their generosity and support. And the best part of that is it's a 2-for-1 because you also get Effingos up to 5,000 pages, and we're going to talk about that a little later on. So let's get going with what we want to do today. A lot of people don't understand that you can't just find the new shiny tool or the new shiny toy in the room, plug it, and start using it. AI, especially for regulated or licensed professionals, you need to make sure that you're able to show your end work product and how you started at the beginning and how you got to the end. So in order to help professionals, I have been architecting a framework in order to show you and walk you through the life cycle of an AI tool and what you need to do. The protocol is called EEE, Educate, Empower, Elevate. It's interesting, when I started with the MedLegal professor and made those 3 words my mission, I never thought that it would turn out to be the pillars and the premise of a framework that I would architect. But welcome to the EEE protocol. And I hope that you all review it, ask questions, participate, and in any way that you can see that this is something that's going to be helpful for our profession, for our accountability, and for our long-term getting ready, God forbid, for any kind of malpractice. What does this protocol do? Well, it's very specific to 3 things that we all need to do. It has to be ethical, the process. It has to be transparent, whatever the process is. And if you are brought up on charges for the board, if you are brought up on charges from the Bar Association, if you are a part of a malpractice negligence case, are you able to defend your actions for it to be legally defensible? Now, I'm going to pause and make sure we all understand what this page is no different than what we've been doing until now. All the work we've done on our case management software and all the work we've done in our offices, we as professionals have to make it ethical, transparent, and legally defensible. The game has changed with the shiny new toy in the room with AI because the terminology is different, the whole concept is different, and a lot of people are using it and not even knowing that they're using it. And whether we like it or not, AI is somehow somewhere in our workflow, and we need to make sure that we govern, we set a framework, we set a premise, and walk ourselves through the entire life cycle and be prepared for any kind of inquiry by a board, by any higher authority. It's important for you guys to also understand that this protocol is based on the EU AI Act, which is the most stringent and most difficult of the standards. It is based on the AMA, the ABA, the ADA, and the NAIC standards. So when I say I architected this framework and tried to make sure that legal professionals can actually utilize it, licensed professionals can actually utilize it, it's not just something we put on paper. There's a lot of research and information that has gone into this process, and I want to make sure that you know that the EU AI Act that was passed and is going to be implemented into 2026, meaning it's being done through Europe, is going to affect us in the United States because their requirements are so high. Anyone dealing with any of the European nations needs to be compliant. So that's why this protocol is on the highest standard. And to me, as professionals, as licensed professionals, and as people who want to make sure we're going to do well by using AI. We're still responsible adults. We're the adults in the room, and we need to make sure we supervise it. So we can't wait to be reactive. This is my attempt to be proactive and get ourselves ready to use the AI without necessarily worrying about it and losing sleep. So when I'm reviewing this for you, again, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions at the end if we have some time. But the protocol is basically like a shield, a roadmap, or a strategy. And what do I mean by that? If you comply with the 3 pillars and the main premises and the guiding principles, you'll see that it's about prevention. And again, we've been doing that all along. That's our job has been as licensed professionals to be in a office and make sure that we're bound by our ethical standards and our ethical duties. So we need to make sure that we continue to do that type of work, but it's different. AI is not the same. In 1997, when I graduated law school, the internet was the new thing at the time. And to me, this is internet on steroids, and so you need to be ready for it in a different way. And the best thing I can tell you about this slide is this: do not be someone who just plugs in a AI tool, which is called plug and play, because to me, that as a professional, you would literally be doing plugging and praying that you don't get into trouble with any kind of board, praying that you won't get in trouble with your clients or patients. So you don't want to do that. Have a rule, a policy, is a strategy, a plan in place before anyone utilizes any kind of AI. Now, why am I wanting to share this with you all, and why am I wanting to make sure that you're part of it? Because this has been my baby for the past 6 months, and I've lived it like a mad scientist. And I'm now I'm being vulnerable to the world and saying, pick it apart. Tell me what your feedback is. Tell me if you need it changed, if we need to think about other things. It's a living document in its infancy, and you're going to be part of it. So ask the questions, give honest feedback, and participate in any way you can. That's as simple as emailing me. And I have a very simple email, nikki@medlegalprofessor.ai. And just email me and tell me your thoughts or your feedback, or even if you hate it, I'd love to hear from you. Before we do anything else, and I want to make sure that you all stop and do this, text yourself or text someone that is in your office, and have you checked your malpractice policy? You all need to, or general liability policy, any kind of insurance policy you have that is protecting you, you need to check to see if there's an AI exclusion, or if there's an AI rider that you need to get, or some kind of making sure that you're covered if you're using AI. So to me, when I'm starting assessment on my client's framework, or setting up a new framework for their office, if they don't have insurance, it's a problem. I want to make sure that you all out there stop and give yourself that little reminder that you need to take care of it immediately. So this slide is basically me telling you that people are making boo-boos, and we as accountable, ethical, responsible professionals don't want to be those people who are making those boo-boos and who are ending up in the newspaper and being written about. There are the ones that you should know about right now is the United Healthcare case, where it's a lawsuit that has been brought up against the company for denials, and it does involve the AI system. And specifically, the court has made a judgment that said no documented human checkpoint for clinical judgment or clear accountability. That in itself is what we're going to be talking about. That's governance. All of these issues that have been had, where Morgan & Morgan, a law firm, submitted this, and this is not the first time. There's many of these cases already where they submitted hallucinations in their briefs. There's also AI chatbots that we're going to be talking about. And again, even your chatbot needs governance, because, for example, this was a health-related chatbot, and a teen committed suicide because when the teen started saying certain things, there was no human involvement. So you can see that we as professionals, we have people's lives in our hands. Different than everyone else, we're licensed, we are responsible for other people. So please make sure that when you understand that when I'm talking about governance, We're talking about making sure that not only we utilize it properly, that we implement the process, that we educate everyone, and to make sure that there is a documented proof if at any time anyone asks for it as to why we came to this conclusion. Because the reason that why is going to be asked is because no decision by professionals should be made by the AI. Any final decision, anything you put your name on, anything you send out as a decision needs to be your judgment. AI is a tool, just like all the other tools we've had. You cannot not regulate it and within your own office or your own environment, and you cannot just go and use it because it's a wonderful new toy. It is a toy. To me, it's a toy unless you've put in your governance and you're going step by step into protecting your reputation, your license, and your entire livelihood. So you got to be careful as we go forward. But these are the scenarios that we've already addressed, and this is just in the last year and a half. Now, I keep talking about governance. What is governance? AI governance is a set of policies and procedures and samples and disclaimers and notices that have been compiled in order for you to abide by a standard to make sure that you are thinking about your license, you are thinking about malpractice, you're thinking about if a court asks, how was this decision made? And in order to govern, as whether you are a sole practitioner or a large corporation, I want you to just look at this screen and understand that a lot of us don't necessarily go through all of this in our offices or in our workflow because this hasn't been part of our system. So in one way, AI is helping us save time, and that's wonderful. And it's and as you know, I am an AI champion, but please know that if you're using AI, you have to also learn how to govern it. It's not the same. It's not a computer the same as a computer system. It's not the same as a software that you've brought in. There are a lot of questions and biases and issues and things that come about. And in order for you as a leader, as a professional, you need to understand just this. And so this screen is why I established this protocol, because I need to make sure that we all understand this process and that we all know that we have to govern in a way that monitors the whole process from the minute you think about bringing AI into your life until the end when you retire the AI. You need to make sure you have the process and able to control the entire workflow. And by the way, again, that's nothing new. We've had that with the internet. We've had that with other technology. So it's nothing new. It's just different. And we need to be ready for it. I'm going to do my, I would call it my good deed for the day. If nothing else, if you walk away from today and you say, I didn't understand a thing she said, and I don't understand what's happening. It's simple. Automating without governance is not innovation. It's negligence. It's malpractice waiting to happen. It's a lawsuit being served. It's a medical board launching an investigation. So from my perspective, it's very simple. Govern before you automate. If you're just bringing something in and you haven't evaluated and assessed your workflows, and you haven't evaluated and assessed how this fits into your workflow, and when is the final review by a human, there's going to be issues. And I'm not here to scare you about malpractice or lawsuits or the board coming after you. I'm here to make sure you understand, as professionals, we don't want it to be that the board or the some outside institution or an insurance company comes and tells us how we should be ethical and responsible. It's important that we undertake that ourselves, knowing that technology always changes and brings about new things, and we don't wait to be reactive. And that's the biggest part of it. If we want to utilize AI, we have to be proactive in making sure that we are being ethical, responsible, and that our duties and our rights and our stakeholders' duties and rights are being considered. So governing. Why am I using the same word over and over again? Because when I talk about leadership, I'm not talking about that you have to be the president of a large corporation, or that you could be the office manager. You could be the supervisor of the department. You could be anyone that is involved in any of these decisions. But you can't be involved in a decision unless you have properly prepared yourself to even understand the process properly, or understand what the terminology is. So if you jump in without the basics, you're going to be jumping in negligently and not walking in there with being able to ask the right questions, being able to know the terminology. So again, you need to be able to mandate that this is how we as an office are going to run. This is how we are going to process things. This is how we're going to set standards. So I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but I want to make sure you understand that there's a reason for setting standards and having a protocol, because we as professionals are going to be reviewed by others, and not everyone realizes that. The EEE protocol. So, as I said to you, the educate, empower, elevate terms were the mission statement for the MedLegal professor. And when we sat down and did the research and started to figure out what the EU AI Act required, what the ABA required, what the AMA required, it fit with this concept of this governance framework. And I'm going to walk you through it very briefly, not very in-depthly, but I want you to know that this framework is structured to reduce risk and protect professional judgment. And what I mean by that is, just because we have AI and just because it can help us in many, many, many different ways, it doesn't mean that our judgment, our final decision, or everything we do is up to us. And you have to make sure that you're the final signatory on a piece of paper, not the decision that any AI made. This protocol, the EEE protocol, has 3 guiding shared principles. And those of you who have been on my MedLegal professor journey know that the biggest one is the AI plus HI. I don't believe that anything that we as professionals do can just be AI. You have to understand that our human review, our human approval, our human intelligence must lead whatever actions we take with AI. So, guiding principle, we know that we should never just completely rely on AI for the entire process or the entire decision unless we can confirm it, unless we know how to confirm it, what it is saying to us, how it got there, and how we can review it and determine it. So your requirements and your judgment doesn't get excused because you're using AI. And it's very important that you keep reminding your staff, yourself, and everyone around you that AI is not the decision maker. We as individuals, especially in these industries that are so critical, that we as individuals are in charge. So that's the first guiding light. guiding principle. The second one is legal defensibility. And again, all of us have already had to consider legal defensibility with everything we've done as professionals. This is nothing new, but it's new in that if you go to court, if you're getting sued, if you write a brief, if you submit a medical report, are you showing that you're an ethical AI user by indicating on that piece of paper that your work was augmented by AI? And are you going through the process? And is someone at the end, when the judge asks, how did you get to this decision? Is someone going to be able to show the process and in order to explain what you have used the AI for and what AI is responsible for and what you're responsible for? So it's important that you keep that in mind. The third guiding principle is respect rights and duties. Putting this together and architecting this framework, I really felt like a mad scientist sometimes, because remember, we have privacy issues, we have HIPAA issues, we work with people that we are responsible for and responsible to. So we have to make sure that not only we're considering our rights and duties, but we're also considering our beneficiaries, the people who we're helping. So it goes in layers as to what else we need to consider when we are using AI, because you do need to disclose to your patients and your clients about it. You do need to explain what your process is so that they can say yay or nay whether they want to participate. So it's very important that you understand this whole framework is based on these three shared principles, meaning that we don't do anything with AI governance without considering these three issues, because the bottom line is we have to worry about malpractice. The bottom line is our judgment and our reputation is on the line, and we need to make sure we're taking care of our beneficiaries. So this is what these three guiding principles mean, and they're crucial for the entire framework to work properly. Now, the framework of the EEE protocol itself, these three words: educate, empower, elevate. You need to educate yourself before you can govern. You need to educate yourself before you can tell others how to change the system. You need to educate yourself before any decision is made, before any tool is brought in. Because if you don't know how to protect yourself, if you don't know what questions to ask of a vendor, if you don't know what questions to ask of an innovator, if you don't know what questions to ask of anyone who's trying to bring an AI tool into your life, then you are not protecting yourself. And that is the number one thing I need you to remember. Now, something about this framework is, although there's three simple words: educate, empower, elevate, and we're going to go through each of them, I want you to know compassion and self-care are also part of this framework, in that we as licensed professionals need to understand that we need to really sincerely stop and smell the roses for ourselves and not delegate smelling the roses. And we need to stop and make sure that the governance isn't just to make sure that we anticipate something bad happening. The governance is also to make sure that we have ease of mind to live on a day-to-day basis and sleep on a day-to-day basis. I say this to you because I'm not a insurance company or an association or someone coming telling you must do this. I'm someone who sat and analyzed this and thought, oh my God, in order for us as a group of licensed professionals to be ready for this, we need to start thinking about these words: explainability, audibility, traceability. I know a lot of abilities, but the fact of the matter is that in order to be able to be in this framework, we have to educate first. And then once you have that education and you've brought in AI, have you set up the mechanism? Have you set up the workflow? Have you made sure that everyone in the system understands what's happening and how to use it, and who's able to make sure that a lot of employees are being given AI software and not knowing exactly what to do with it or how to do with it? So educate, empower, and then elevate. And to me, that's any ethical, responsible, caring professional wants to not only do well for themselves, but do well for our profession. And as such, we need to be making sure that we're making standards that don't forget to consider our beneficiaries, privacy issues. We need to make sure that we proactively take action. So when I say education, I'm not talking about that you need to become an AI expert. This is not about being an AI expert. It's about having AI literacy, knowing what the words are, knowing what the capabilities are, knowing what the flaws are, and making sure that you are ethically and responsibly implementing an AI tool in your workflow, in your system, in your office. So again, if you don't know what traceability, explainability, auditability are, you're going to need to know it, because it's going to be part of your governance system, and we're going to get into that. Educate yourself. Why? Because not only do you need to learn about the AI aspect of how to integrate AI, but you also need to remember we still have requirements from that we have to comply with from states, from insurance companies, we have to understand the entire landscape. And as such, we have to make sure that we're not only meeting our AI needs and AI governance, but that we're also complying with outside requirements. And if you don't know what those are, if you don't educate yourself about those regulatory awareness, there's going to be issues, and we want to make sure that we don't have those issues. Now, the other good part of education is, again, thinking about the risk. I don't know if it's my attorney mind. I'm always thinking about the risk. What could happen? What we need to prevent from happening. And you can't prevent something from happening if you haven't educated yourself enough about the risks of utilizing anything. So this concept of educating yourself is not just educating yourself in regards to, oh, I know how to, I'm an AI expert. It's about being able to understand how to do a tool inventory, how to do a process analysis, how to do a vendor assessment, how to do a risk classification. Now, it's important that you understand. Again, I'm not going to go through every one of these things with you. I'm putting this information on the slides because I want you to understand there's a lot that you need to consider in just the education aspect of it before you even start using AI. So it's important that more than ever, you are involved in the education at a level that helps you understand the process. I myself, and I want to make sure that you all know this, I myself have become SHRM credentialed in AI plus HI. I've become AIWC credentialed through Workers' Comp College, and I have the mastery in AI mastery in workers' compensation. And this is all through workcompcollege.com. Reason I say sign up for education, everybody and their mother is selling you education right now in AI. I'm not asking you to just learn AI for the sake of knowing how to utilize it on your computer. That's great. We will get to that. There's also this concept of understanding your responsibilities as part of a system and your responsibilities as leaders. And we could have a leadership crisis if our leaders don't understand that they can't make decisions if they themselves don't know how to make that decision. And it's important. So these were mine that I did, but I want to make sure that you guys do your research. And if you want to learn more about the workers' comp colleges classes, please do let me know. And I would be more than happy to send you a lot more information and links. But it's important that you sign up for education. So part of this, the education of this framework that I've put together is this concept of how do we prompt AI as licensed individuals or even staff members of licensed individuals, and make sure that if our prompt is ever looked at, there's not a concern about bias, racism, about any of our own personal beliefs being brought into it, that the judgment and that the process was done properly. I've come up with this prompting method called CLAIMS, and it's CLAIMS, and it walks you through the concept of what a valid, legally defensible prompt would be in a professional setting, so that we can make sure that no one's going to question us as to what type of prompting we did with the AI for any outcome. And again, today is about just me introducing you to all of this. So I just want to make sure that you know that there are ways of us even protecting ourselves when it comes to the prompt, yet alone the other aspects of governance. Let's say we've wonderfully educated ourselves. We've gone through the first requirement. The second component, empower. You need to maintain professional authority. What does that mean? We need policies, templates, disclaimers. You need tools, you need frameworks, you need systems. And you can't just use the old stuff, because you need to make sure that it's upgraded and updated, and as I say, on steroids for AI. So you need to be able to determine whether you have override authority, whether you are able to audit, whether you are able to figure out, distinguish between what is the AI created content and the human related content. And most important, client and patient transparency. You have to make sure that if you're using AI, it's properly disclosed and the proper waivers or the proper disclaimers are signed by the patient or the client. So it's important that you keep in the back of your head that even once you're educated, you need to move on to the next level, which is actually looking around and thinking what the process is, what the system that you have in your office is, and be ready to have audits, be able to override the AI. And just so you know, what we've talked about all along right now doesn't even talk about data. Okay, right now we're just talking about bringing in an AI tool into our system and being able to have a framework or standard in utilizing and integrating new AI. There's so much more that we as people who are the leaders and wanting to implement AI have to consider about data. That's a whole different webinar, and I'm sure we'll get there, but I just want to make sure that you understand that I haven't forgotten about it, but it's important that you process it and the different types of AI. So again, whole different webinar, but we'll get there. I've been talking about client-patient transparency. So, and this is all very fresh in my mind because I've actually been writing these disclosures, and I've been coming up with these disclaimers and these notices. But just like we did with the internet, just like we've done with technology in the past, you can't say, I don't have to get approval from my patient or my client. You have to. It's the same thing. Nothing, our ethical duties, our boundaries, our standards haven't changed. So you need to be able to disclose in writing about your AI use, and you need to explain it step by step how their privacy is being kept private, and how they can opt out of any kind of AI use. A patient or a client can actually say, I don't want any AI used on my case or on me as a patient. If that's what your client is asking you, and that's what your patient is asking you, then it, just like all of their other requests that we have to abide by, you need to be involved into saying, okay, what do I do in that situation? And have I gotten the necessary disclaimers and the necessary disclosures that I need to do in order to do it? So again, you've learned about the AI, you've brought this tool in, but then now you need to make sure that you've stepped up and taken care of the people who are in the process and how it works. So disclosure is going to be important, and you need to document it just like all our other disclosures we've had to do. This is a sample that I've started to put together, and again, you'll get a copy of the webinar slides. So I just want to make sure that you know it's none of what I'm talking about today is legal advice. As you all know, I'm here to talk about a framework, a standard for our industry. This is not about me giving you legal advice. It's about saying, how do we move forward? How do we get these things done? And the language is going to be important. So read this sample disclosure, client disclosure. Tell me how we can improve it. Tell me how you think it's you can utilize it. But it's important that you start with the basics. When you bring the AI tool in, are you ready to make sure that your clients and patients and whoever else is considered and taken care of, so that you're not violating any standard of care? Okay, so as we were talking about it earlier, and you're going to bring in a shiny new toy and you're going to utilize it. I'm going to tell you about Effingo. This is my shiny new toy, and I want to talk to you about it. I'm the founders and the innovators of this product. I've become their chief strategist in regards to something that's very important. I actually put their user manual together. I actually tell them about workflow process. I actually say, in order for them to make it legally defensible. The reason I bring this up about Effingo is that please, please, please understand that you can't bring any tool in if the person who's selling you the tool can't answer legal defensibility issues, can't tell you about traceability. You need to be able to ask the questions and actually understand. And if they're not giving you something in writing, in order for your own protection, you need to have something in writing in order to make sure that you're not going to have issues in the future. Because if they're claiming things, then it's just a checkpoint. But again, governance means you have to take care of it. You need to check to see how it's happening. So we've talked about educate. We've talked about empower. We brought this toy in, figure out how to utilize it, figure out to make sure everyone is on board, knowing what the workflow is, what you need to do. Then governance as leadership. We need to elevate. And what does that mean? We need to make sure that we're actually monitoring it. We're auditing it. We are running reports on a monthly basis to make sure it's not using data that isn't or hallucinating or whatever it could be happening with that specific AI tool. So you've brought it in, you've implemented it, and now you need to monitor it. And elevate means that we as leaders need to make sure that we are able to have metrics, we're able to have reports, we're able to be involved as ethical, responsible leaders, telling others that, hey, we understand there's AIs in our world and this is what's happening, but let's see what we can do to make sure that we as a industry and as a profession move forward with dignity and make sure we bring everyone along with us to meet their obligations. This is a sample governance commitment statement that I've started to put together, which is basically your company, your organization, your corporation, basically agreeing that you are going to govern AI and you're aware that it has to be governed and you're aware that it affects your bottom line. And so it's something as simple as basically pledging to how you're going to not do what? You're going to be aware of AI plus HI, meaning that nothing happens without human intelligence. You're aware of the rights and duties of the people that you are utilizing AI for. So it's very important that those guiding principles, those 3 guiding principles, every time you sit down to do anything, you need to remember those 3 principles in order to know whether you're on the right track to meeting standards and meeting your being compliant with your clients' or patients' needs. What you need to also do is a leadership statement. This is if you are someone who is making decisions in AI, tell the world that you understand that there are ethical principles that you are bound by and that you need to work in and produce and be able to show that it's augmented work, but your decision. I'm going to say this so that, and it's very important. I'm very proud to say that the MedLegal professor is AI created, AI operated, AI augmented. But it's because I'm in charge of the AI. I govern it. I make sure I check it. I make sure that I triple check it. And again, it's the same concept of when we were using Westlaw or any other research mechanism in the past. We wouldn't just rely on it. We would have to double check it. We would have to make sure that it's correct and that it actually exists and it's not a hallucination. So there's going to be ethical requirements that would need to be implemented. And these are the, again, we're not just creating new things. These were things that came into play with the internet, and we're now putting it on steroids because it is for AI. What are your next steps? Next steps are, I'm more than happy to meet with anyone to kind of consult with you and give you ideas of how to move forward. I'm going to be turning the protocol into a complete field manual, and meaning that leaders are going to be able to pick it up and every sample, every disclosure, you're going to have a field manual. You're going to be able to know how to govern in the AI age. And so it's important that you understand that in the process of doing all of this, any feedback that you give me is about us improving everything we're going to be doing for the industry and making sure that we go forward with ethically and responsibly. This I'm going to repeat myself, but I love it. EEE, educate, empower, elevate. It's very important to do that. If you want a lifetime, anyone who's on the webinar today wants a lifetime membership of the field manual, please, there's a click to reserve your spot right now on the screen. Click it, reserve your spot, and you're able to benefit and get lifetime, because pretty soon it's not going to be available in that way, but you will be the lucky ones because you're here today. So I hope the field manual will be helpful to you. Again, I want to thank all of my innovation partners and sponsors. I'm glad that I'm exactly on time and I've left some time for questions. I'm hoping that there are some questions. So let's see, are there any questions? No questions. So on that note, I hope that you guys actually review the materials and really understand that we're just trying to set a standard so that not only do we sleep better at night, but we also know that we're doing well for our society, our profession, and our industry. Thank you for being with me today. I appreciate it sincerely, and I look forward to doing more of this work with you. I know I'm a geeky nerd, but I love doing this, and I encourage and invite anyone who's caring about this stuff to contact me and be involved. And get involved in the community. There's different things you can do to benefit from the community, and we welcome you to get involved. And I will see you next month on the first Monday of the month. Thank you, everyone.